For centuries, the world's deadliest secrets lay hidden in a pinch of pepper or a shard of cinnamon. Europe's greatest empires went to war, risking entire fleets for treasures that could fit in the palm of your hand. Before gold rushes and oil booms, humanity was consumed by a different kind of hunger, lust for spice. This wasn't just about flavor. It was about power, magic, and a global obsession that would redraw the map of the world and cost countless lives. This is the story of the Spice Wars, a tale of ambition so fierce it was whispered in royal courts and shouted in the broadsides of warring ships. Forget what you think you know about history. The real story is far darker, far more mysterious, and it all began with the humble spices we now take for granted. So, what made a peppercorn more valuable than gold? In medieval Europe, spices were not just seasoning, they were a status symbol, a medicine, and a mystery all rolled into one. Cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, pepper. These weren't grown in the fields of France or England. They came from a mythical, faraway land, a secret garden of the East, known only as the Spice Islands. The journey was so long and treacherous, passing through so many hands, that by the time a bag of nutmeg reached London or Lisbon, its price had inflated 1,000 times over. It was rumored that cloves could cure the plague, that nutmeg could induce visions, and that cinnamon was a gift from paradise itself. Physicians prescribed them, alchemists coveted them, and kings flaunted them at their feasts to display unimaginable wealth. Spices were the ultimate luxury, the scent of power. Owning them meant you were closer to heaven, both in this life and the next. But the source of this power was a fiercely guarded secret, held for centuries by Arab traders who spun tales of terrifying monsters and impassable deserts to ward off any European competition. The Venetian and Genoese merchants who controlled the Mediterranean trade became fantastically wealthy, acting as the final gatekeepers of this eastern treasure. But the rest of Europe grew tired of paying their exorbitant prices. The kingdoms of Portugal and Spain, situated on the Atlantic coast, felt locked out of this lucrative trade. They began to wonder, could there be another way? A secret route? This question sparked the age of discovery. It wasn't just a noble quest for knowledge. It was a desperate, high-stakes race to bypass the old trade routes and find the source of the spices directly. Imagine the greatest minds of the era, huddled over flickering candlelight, poring over ancient, inaccurate maps. They drew lines into the unknown, gambling with sailors' lives and royal fortunes on the mere possibility of a sea route around Africa, or a daring voyage west, across an ocean of monsters and myths. Christopher Columbus sailed west for spices. Vasco da Gama risked everything to round the Cape of Good Hope for spices. Ferdinand Magellan set out to circle the globe, all for the promise of cloves and nutmeg. These weren't just voyages, they were heists on a global scale. Each ship that set sail was a key, trying to unlock a treasure chest half a world away. And for every ship that returned laden with a fragrant treasure, a dozen more were lost to storms, disease, and the vast, unforgiving ocean. As the Portuguese, and later the Dutch, finally reached the legendary Spice Islands, Banda Islands, and the Moluccas, Indonesia, the race for spices turned from exploration into a brutal, bloody war. This wasn't about trade anymore. It was about total, monopolistic control. The Dutch East India Company, the infamous VOC, became a state within a state, a corporate entity with its own army, its own navy, and the authority to wage war, sign treaties, and establish colonies. They didn't just want to buy the spices, they wanted to own the very trees they grew on. They drove out their Portuguese rivals, then the English, and then turned their full, merciless force upon the local islanders. Entire populations were enslaved or exterminated simply for trying to sell a handful of nutmeg to the wrong person. The island of Run, a tiny speck in the Banda Sea, was once so valuable for its nutmeg trees that the English, in a moment of geopolitical calculation, traded it to the Dutch. And what did they get in return? A swampy, sparsely populated island on the other side of the world called Manhattan. Think about that. The city of New York was once considered a fair trade for a single, tiny island of spice. That's how insane the obsession had become. The spice wars were fought not just on the high seas, but in the shadows. It was an age of espionage, betrayal, and piracy. A single smuggled nutmeg tree seedling could be worth a kingdom. Captains carried secret maps tattooed on their skin. Spies disguised as merchants would try to steal information, bribe local leaders, or sabotage a rival's shipment. The VOC built massive forts, not just to defend against other European powers, but to police the islanders and prevent a single clove or nutmeg seed from being smuggled out. The penalty for smuggling was death. They even tried to confine the cultivation of cloves to one island and nutmeg to another, a brutal attempt at botanical imprisonment. But secrets, like seeds, have a way of spreading. Pirates, unbound by national loyalties, preyed on the lumbering, treasure-laden galleons of the trading companies. A successful raid could make a pirate crew rich beyond their wildest dreams. Ghost ships were common tail vessels, found adrift with their crew dead from scurvy, but their precious cargo of spices perfectly intact. Every barrel, every crate, every whispered rumor held the potential for immense wealth or a watery grave. Gold coins changed hands in dark taverns to fund betrayals, and royal decrees signed in ornate palaces were shattered by the reality of cannon fire half a world away. So, what is the legacy of this centuries-long, globe-spanning conflict? The world we live in today was fundamentally shaped by this hunger for spice. It fueled colonialism, created the first multinational corporations, and connected the farthest corners of the globe through networks of trade and violence. Empires rose and fell. New continents were discovered, and the balance of global power shifted from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic. The spice wars were a brutal testament to how something so small could drive human ambition to its greatest heights and its most terrible depths. Yet, even today, mysteries remain. Are there still lost treasure ships resting on the ocean floor, their holds filled with perfectly preserved spices from a bygone era? What forgotten knowledge and secret recipes were lost when entire cultures were wiped out in the quest for monopoly? The spices in our kitchens are the quiet descendants of this violent, epic story. They no longer cost a fortune, but they carry the echoes of sunken ships, forgotten empires, and the relentless human desire to control the treasures of the earth. The world was forever changed, all for the taste of something exotic on the tip of the tongue. Wars, empires, and legends all shaped by what we now sprinkle on our food. The next time you open a jar of cinnamon or grind some pepper, remember the incredible, dangerous journey it once represented. What secret story do you think is still hidden in the world of spices? Drop your 3 below and subscribe for more forbidden legends and world-changing mysteries. Thanks for watching.